Big news. MicroStrategy is booming. Bitcoin is booming. MicroStrategy is up like 20% in the last hour or so. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice here. So, what happened today and what's actually going on with the tariff trade war? Big news in that Trump decided that he's putting a pause on tariffs for 90 days for the majority of countries, meaning tariffs placed on goods that are coming into this country. He's putting a minimum 10% tax on the goods that are coming in for the majority of countries, except for China. And so China, we hit back with a tariff of 104%. So the writing on the wall is clear. Trump says, and I quote in an interview today, I know what the hell I'm doing. So this is big news that just hit the marketplace. Okay, big news. Trump says, I know what the hell I'm doing. He says countries are coming to the table right now, and he says they're kissing my ass, and they want to negotiate and do fair trade. So he literally just paused tariffs for 90 days. As the negotiations are taking place, there is a low minimum 10% tax on goods that are being imported to the United States. And that's the big news for the day. You saw strategy just go through the moon just recently, and we're watching the markets move, guys. Bitcoin's up to about $82,000 right now. So during these times, we're seeing the markets move quickly. And this is positive news for what's happening in the markets. I know we've been dealing with a lot of uncertainty lately, a lot of ups and downs. I mean, if you look at Strategy's price point, it was down as low as 230 yesterday, and all of a sudden it's zoomed up now to 292. So in 24 hours, I mean, that's a pretty big jump. That's about a 25% change in price. So it's interesting to see what's happening. With as far as the European Union goes, they are open to negotiations as well. They are planning and set to hit back with their own retaliatory tariffs if something is not reached by April 15th. But if you saw my videos yesterday, 60 to 70 countries have already written into the United States and they want to do a deal. So that's what's happening in the markets. What are your thoughts on what's going on? It's definitely shaky times. Larry Fink said today, yes, we are in a recession perhaps, but now is a great time to buy, is what he said. And I think he said that hours and hours back before we just started zooming up. And as I'm talking to you right now, Bitcoin has broken $82,000. So the swings from 84K all the way up, from 74K all the way up to $82,000 is a pretty big swing in a 24-hour period. Okay. So I just wanted to just touch base, come in, share with you briefly what's going on. What do you think's happening in the comment box? Leave your thoughts. If you like the content that I'm sharing, subscribe to the channel, like this. But we could be moving in the right direction, and particularly with this pause over the next 90 days, a little breathing room for the markets. All this uncertainty that we've been dealing with, and zooming out for a moment and going, okay, maybe some good things are coming on the horizon. Now, we also know we're dealing with global trade here. We also know we're dealing with a lot of emotion here. And we also know that a single announcement from the president and a single announcement from a country can literally sway the markets in minutes, as we just saw. And they can sway them up and they can sway them down. I would say be careful, be cautious. But at the same time, I'm not selling. I'm holding my positions, and I've been holding my positions as I said I would. And I'm still favorable towards a bull run coming in 2025. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you're hanging tight. I hope you didn't get freaked out of the market or sold out of the market. I do understand how this is a very, very difficult time, because to see swings like this, particularly when we're expecting there to be a bull run right now and expecting that in April, we wouldn't be, as of yesterday, we were down about 8% in April. Typically in April, we're up, and as far as strategy goes, as of yesterday, we were way down. So these are difficult times. I am releasing a video later today that you can look for that really goes into what the tariffs are really about, and it talks about the trade deficit as well, and it explains it, and it also addresses the question that some people had in the chat box about the fact that we have a trade deficit here in the United States where we buy more than we actually sell to other countries. And then some people have commented, yeah, but in terms of services, there's a trade surplus where the US gets more money from services that we sell to other countries, which is true. So I created a video to address both things, to look at goods and services, and why I still think that tariffs are smart. I still think what the US is doing is smart. And as Trump said this morning in a press conference, I know what the hell I'm doing. At the end of the day, every country will come forward, and China is the only one that's in question. And the US will continue to hit on China and hit on China and hit on China. And Trump is not going to back off until they come to the table. And my belief is, at the end of the day, China is going to be sitting there isolated while every other country comes to the table and negotiates a deal. And that's what's going to happen from my purview. And in the long run, this is going to be good for Bitcoin. It's going to be good for strategy. And I do believe that the Fed is still going to come in and lower the interest rates, as they should, by June 2nd. So I just wanted to pop in and say hello. It's good news. In case you haven't gotten the news yet, that's great news that we just got. And again, to recap, there is a temporary pause on tariffs, a 90-day pause on tariffs that Trump just announced. There's still going to be 10% tax on the goods that are coming into the U.S., but in terms of him hitting people back and saying we're doing this much and that much and adding on top of the already existing tariffs, there's a temporary pause. And this is good because 60 to 70 countries have written in to say, yes, we'd like to negotiate. As you know, if you didn't watch my other video, I talked about the fact that Monday, the Israelis came to the table and they're now creating free trade and fair trade with the United States. And over the next 2 months, you're going to see meeting after meeting after meeting that Trump is personally taking to do a deal. And if you know how Trump does deals, he's going to do a deal, and he's going to do a good deal. And countries are going to end up negotiating, compromising in some situations, and this is going to be good for the markets. So I maintain my bullish sentiment even in the difficult times. We'd all like to see Bitcoin at 109,000 right now and beyond. In fact, many of us were expecting a run in April way beyond that, and May and June to 150,000. And at this point, I think we should be excited that the markets are rebounding a little bit right now, and that the news that's coming down the pike is good from a standpoint of what's happening with the tariffs. And this is good news. So I hope it brightens your day a little bit. I hope, I know it's been difficult, going to bed at night and going, wow, my portfolio is down. Or if you got in the game in 2024, some of you might have gotten in the game and your portfolio is down overall. If you got in the game early in 2023 or 2020, your portfolios are up, but nobody likes to see it go down 20, 30, or even 50% if you hold Microstrategy, right? So at the end of the day, I'm excited. I still love the fact that we have this incredible commodity called Bitcoin. I still think it is far superior to gold, and I think it is the new asset of the 21st century, and it will continue to be. And what that means for strategy is all good things. And strategy will continue to hold Bitcoin. They will continue to buy Bitcoin. And if you look at the boom in the market right now with strategy, it's at 296 as we speak. I think we're going to break 300 by the end of the day. So this is great news. We're rebounding. We're seeing that Bitcoin is literally been weathering the storm. I know 74 is not good, and there was fear of it dropping down below 70. 76,000 was a key threshold for it to hold at, and even for it to close the week at. And there's lots of people that have bought into Bitcoin at a 70,000 price point. So a lot of the people bought in 2024 bought in at a $70,000 price point. So that's kind of a big stable hold area. But the 50-day moving average of Bitcoin is around $76,000. So it is important that we hold this week above $76,000, above the 50-day moving average, and that we're not closing below that. Yesterday we had a scare. We closed below that. We've had a scare with the tariffs, and obviously it's been a very, very uncertain time. So I admire you for holding strong while the rest of the world has been literally crapping their pants. Even if you're crapping your pants, it's okay if you're holding strong. Okay, not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. I'm just saying we got to hold strong during tough times. We got to believe in the fundamentals of what Bitcoin is and understand that this is a superior asset, period. It is superior in so many other ways. Number two, it is not controlled by any government or any country. So even though we have tariffs going on, Bitcoin is not. You've heard many people on YouTube say this. You've heard many tweets go out there of like, Bitcoin does not have tariffs on it. And also, we got to zoom out and just look at the big picture and go, is this asset fundamentally strong? And during these times of uncertainty, will more money flow into Bitcoin as not a safe asset per se, because it's still a risky asset, but will more people take notice and go, hey, Bitcoin is a good place for me to park my money, particularly in uncertain times? Okay. When the Fed lowers interest rates, which they will, free cash will go in the economy. And I believe that Bitcoin is just going to shoot the hell up. And what does that mean for Microstrategy? Microstrategy follows the lead of Bitcoin. However, Microstrategy passes Bitcoin because it goes up at a 1.5 to 2x that Bitcoin does on average over time. All right. So good that you're hanging tight. Robert says, I'm holding, bought more Microstrategy yesterday. Yes. Nice move. Rock says, I got some awesome buys on MSTU at $3. Nice move. I'm not sure what Pratish says, the fraud detected on MSTR. I'm not sure what you're referencing. I didn't get any data on that. All the data that I have on MSTR is that it's sound and it's solid. And the earning reports came out the other day that there was a $5.91 billion loss. As you guys know, they have changed the accounting rules. So the way that Bitcoin gets reported right now on the balance sheet is based on the current market price of the Bitcoin. So it didn't used to be reported like that on Strategy's balance sheet. Now it's being reported like that. So if you look at the gains of Strategy over 2025, with Bitcoin being reported on the balance sheet, in this quarter, they announced in this quarter a $5.91 billion loss. But if you really look at the report of really what they're up in terms of the balance of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, they're actually in a net positive in terms of gains for the company. So this quarter just happened to be reported down, but they are obviously a net positive, and they're billions and billions of dollars up. So Strategy's healthy. Strategy does not hold debt that's recourse debt, meaning nobody can come after Strategy for these loans. So all the loans that they're getting to invest in Bitcoin, meaning the convertible notes. So somebody loans them money and they then take that money that's being loaned to them and they invest it in Bitcoin. Those deals that are done are non-recourse, meaning they can't come after Strategy for it. So there's very, very low risk on these deals that they're doing in terms of borrowing the money. And the deal that people are making who are borrowing the money is basically saying that we're going to convert this money that we loan to you into shares at some later date. So that's how the convertible notes work. So Strategy's not going to get liquidated. Strategy's not in a bad position at all. Their earnings report is just whatever, it comes out, it hits in the media, it impacts the markets, it creates fear in the headlines. But if you look at Strategy's balance sheet and their Bitcoin, their average cost of Bitcoin is $66,000, guys. So if you look at where they're actually at right now with Bitcoin at $82,000, $82,500, Strategy's way in the positive in terms of their Bitcoin acquisition price compared to where the Bitcoin price is right now. And let's not forget that Saylor's playing the long game. So he's not looking at this for 2025. And his idea is that he's going to buy the top always, because eventually the top that he buys now at $82,000, a year from now, that'll be low. 2 years from now, that'll be super low. 3 years from now, it'll be extremely low. So he's going to keep buying at $82.95 because he's looking at this as it's on sale. And if you were looking at the article that came out recently the other day that said Strategy, Saylor predicts that Bitcoin will grow by 15,000%. It was basically an article saying with Bitcoin at $74,000 and it eventually goes to $13 million a coin, is the prediction that Saylor has in 2045. That's an extraordinary gain, right? These are headlines that come out to show you what something could be 20 years down the road. These are headlines that come out that say $5.91 billion loss with Strategy. It's true, but it doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell how net positive Strategy actually is. All right. So in terms of a company, the company, from all the data that I have in the research, it couldn't be more sound. His strategy couldn't be more sound. and you see more and more companies jumping on to try and copy their playbook. And now we have maybe some breathing room over the next 90 days with the tariffs being paused in terms of Trump hitting back with retaliatory tariffs, and doing this with many, many different countries of imposing, I should say, higher tariffs. With the pause going on right now, and the kind of breathing room that's in place, maybe there will be a little bit of a zoom out for people to focus on, okay, what's the plan now with the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve? Because if you really look at the headlines, it's been flooded with tariff news, just flooded and flooded and flooded and flooded with tariff news. And so, great, it's hitting the headlines, but now we don't get any news on what's happening with the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve because we're handling all this stuff that's going on with the emotions of different countries, and obviously the emotions that's going on with all the different citizens and people. So maybe we'll have some breathing room in the next 90 days to see what's happening with the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. What progress are these groups that are coming together to make decisions about allocations of Bitcoin? What progress have they made for the US? And maybe we'll get some good news on that as well. So anyway, Strategy is about to break 300 as we speak right now. I mean, talk about a zoom up. Are you kidding me? In a day, Bitcoin's about to break 83,000 if it hasn't already. And that's what I got for a report for the day. So I hope it serves you. I will be coming out with a video later today that's just going to be released for you that gives an understanding of what's happened with the tariffs and why they actually do make sense. You can come to your own agreement or your own decision of whether you agree or disagree. But watch the video because it kind of gives you the history of the relationship of tariffs between the U.S. and China. It gives you the history of the tariffs between the U.S. and Mexico. It gives you the history of trade agreements that were put in place back in 2001. And it just gives you the history to understand what's taking place. Whether you agree with it or not, there is data in there that's helpful. And I do understand people from different countries. I want, my goal is for everybody to have a win-win. And obviously I'm biased to America because I want people to get their jobs back, and I want factories built here as well, and I want a strong economy. And I think every country should want that for their own countries as well, to have a strong economy, jobs there, and the economy doing well. So hopefully this fair trade agreement will work for many of the different countries. We'll see how countries feel about it, how the negotiations going, and see if there's fair deals. All right. Hope you guys do well. If you like this, share it with somebody. I think people need good news today, and they should know why the good news just came about, which is what I just gave you. All right. Talk to you soon, and check for my video later on. It'll be released around probably in about 3.5, 4 hours. I'll release a video that will be posted here. Okay. Cheers.